Okay, so what I want to do now is to do a tutorial that starts the practical section of our back-end technology stack tutorial. So I've done the theoretical part of that training. So what I want to do now is to start building out the practical section. So, and for the practical section, we'll be creating an application. So let's get started. Let's just get started. There's no point in talking too much. Okay. So what I want to do is I'm going to come over here and create a new project. So I'll be creating an ASP.NET Core web application, and I will name my application Rently web app. There's going to be a web app. Yeah, so I think that is the name. So once you do that, it's going to bring you to this particular page. What do you want to do when you get to this place? This page will prompt you to select the specific type of project you want to build. You can decide to go with an empty ASP.NET Core application, or if you are building a web service, then you can go for an API, or you can go for a web application. I think this uses Razor pages or something of that nature. Or you can do ASP.NET Core web application MVC, model view controller. This is the classical way that we build application. MVC is a pattern. Or you can create a class. This is just a class library that allows you to organize your Razor pages properly. Then below here you now have your front end frameworks I talked about. So we have two basically frameworks. We have the Angular framework, React and Redux framework. So what these guys do is they allow you to create an ASP.NET Core MVC application, backend application that has an Angular front end framework, or that has a React front end framework, or that has a React and a Redux framework. So, but since I'm not going to be talking about the front end framework, I just want to focus on the back end. So it's simpler to use the web application MVC controller. So this is what I'll be using. So once I create, okay, it's going to create the folder, it's going to create the project. So it has created the project. I think it's coming up. It's trying to compile the project. So yeah, it's kind of like setting it. Okay, I think it's done now. So what we have is we can actually try out this project and see. Let's build the project and see what we have. It's not going to be much, so but let's just try and build the project and see what's up. So yeah, this building the project here. I guess you can see it. So after building the project, this is what you have. So in this essentially what you get. So what we will do is that we'll clear off all this stuff. We'll clear out all this stuff and then build our form. So this is basically the project. Well, these are just placeholder items. So I'm going to be clearing off all these guys. I'm going to be clearing off all these guys. So you have your about contact. I'm going to be clearing out all these and then we see how it. But this is basically our application now. This is a framework. You can see it has created a basic application. Like I said, the framework is just like a prefabricated software. So once you download the software, I've downloaded the software, built the software, it's working now. So I can clear out all these things and start building my own. So that's what the framework allows you to do. As a software developer, it is most likely that you are not going to be starting things afresh. You are going to be working on top of frameworks. So this is a framework. As you can see, I have the application working now, but this is not what I want to build. So I will clear out all this stuff and start building what I want to build. So let me show you the thing I want to build. So this is essentially the thing. It's just a simple form. Like I said, if you understand the fundamental basics, everything becomes a lot easier. If you understand, if you want to work on the back end, the fundamental thing is how do this is a simple form. How do you create the front end and how do you take this form, fill in the form on the front end and save the form in the database? If you're able to fill in this form, submit it, pass it through the controller, through the repository, through the service, and to the database, you've done most of the work you need to do as a backend developer. Then the next phase is how do you fetch this information from the back end to the front end to display it to the front end. So if you understand this back and forth, you can now build on top of that knowledge. You know, the problem, this thing is very simple. Software development is very simple. If you're able to follow through on building this form and saving it to the database and fetching, bringing it, getting the details on the front end back and forth, you've already done most of the job. You can now start building on top of the knowledge. So that's why I like making things very simple. Because if things are very simple, you understand the basics, and then it will be a lot easier for you to continue. So this is the basic form I want to click. If the user fills in this form and click submit, it sends this in and save it to the database. Simple and straightforward, nothing much. Yeah. So in the theoretical part of the training, I talked about several things. I talked about controller, the service, the repository, database, model. So without wasting much time, I'm going to stop this application and then start creating my model. So the model for this form, I will call the model personal details because this is more or less like your personal detail. So to create what have we got here? We've got a controller folder, we have a models folder and a views folder. The controller folder houses our controller. I talked about controller as the gateway to our backend application. So all your in large scale complex application, you have so many controllers. You will have more than one controller. You know, so because you have more than one controller, it's easier to arrange things inside a single controller folder. That's why we have this controller folder. Then we have the model as well. You know, in large scale application, you have more than one model. So if you have more than one model, you don't want to scatter everything. You have to put organization is the key. Organization is is one of the reasons why you can get promoted easily. If you know how to organize things properly, you know how to arrange files properly, you know how to document everything. If you just start as a software, before you know it, they will give you senior software developer or even lead software developer role. So that's the way it works. So we have then the view model. The view model will house my HTML that I will use on the front end, because this project allows you to build both front end and back end combined together. That's why it is called an MVC application. So the view is where I will put the front end part that we hate, like the HTML and whatever. They will be in the view, you see. So, but I don't have some additional stuff here. Like I don't have the services, I don't have the repositories. So what I will do is I will create a folder called services and create another folder called repository. So let's just go straight to the job, you know. So we give this guy services. This will hold all our services. Then I'm going to create another folder called repositories. It's called repositories. Repository, that is plural, in case should I need to create more than one, or let just make it a singular so that it doesn't, or we can just leave it repository since everything has s on at the back. So we have all our folders. So let's create our model. We add a class model. It is an object. .NET, when you are doing .NET, you are doing object-oriented programming, and if you are doing object-oriented programming, everything is like can be represented by a class. A class object, they are a class. You know, everything is an object. An object can be represented by classes. So I will create my first model as my. I'm going to give that guy a name, personal detail. The personal detail is the name I've given this guy. Yeah, my class. Yeah, so what I need to do now is to take this guy. Paste this guy. I need, okay, I've created the model, but I need to create the attributes. All this is my model now. I need to get all these attributes. I have 4 of them here. I have the first name, the last name, the country, and the annual rent. So I've got my, I just want to, but I don't just like the idea of typing, so I just like copying and pasting, you know. So here I will rename this my first name. I will call this guy my last name. Then this guy my country, and then my annual. This is my annual rent. You see. So then what I need to do is I need one additional, because you know during the practical section, let's call this guy tax. During the practical section, I say that what I want to do when I submit this form is that I want the backend to compute the tax from the country and annual rent. So from given the country and annual rent that the user has imputed, can we get the country? Can we get the tax? You know, this country, ideally, this country should be a drop-down menu. It should be a drop-down menu, that a user can click and select his or her own country. I think that is what I will do. So what I will do is I will create something that will allow you to select this country as a drop-down menu. So I think that is all. Then I think that is all. All I need to do is maybe change this from strange to decimal, because since my annual and my rent might be in will I say in numbers form, not like in a word or a sentence. So tax as well, let's make this decimal. I think that is all. So this is our model. This is my model, or this is the form. This is the when I talked about thinking about everything as a form. You can see that this form in the back end, this form is represented this way. You see, it's almost the same thing. The get and the set allow you to assign a value to this guy or to read a value from this attribute. So get allows you to read the value of this attribute. Then set allow you to write the value, assign a value to this attribute. So that's what get and set allows you to do. Yeah. Like in the normal form, you can read the value of this form, or you can write the value of this form. It is the same thing. Everything in software is the basic thinking we do as human beings in real life. If you just understand this thing, everything becomes easy. So everything we do in software is like everything, all the normal basic human thinking, human level thinking we do as normal human beings. That's what we decided to say, okay, let's bring it to the software. But everything is the same. So I've created my personal detail. what I need to do is now to create the repository for this personal detail and the service that will help us to manage our personal detail. Let's start with the service. I will create a service class. Like I said, our service is where most of the business logic happens. Like if I want to calculate this tax, I'll be doing that in the service. So this is my personal detail service, the service that will allow me to manage my personal detail. I need to create the repository for this personal detail. So I'll create a class called repository. So this is my repository class. So I think that is all. Apart from, I think that is all. So I think that is all. Let me see how far have we gone. I think that is I've kind of like so I'm still thinking. I've not decided whether. Okay, so the next thing I will do is for these guys, I've created their, we have concrete type and their interfaces. So this is my concrete type. So what I need to do now is to create my interface. I need to make this public so that I can access it from other files. So I think that is all. That is all for now. I've created the basic structure of this project, so I don't want the video to be too long because I feel that if I make the videos a bit longer, it's not really very. I just want to try and see if I can make it in short batches. So the next thing I will now do is to fill in this repository, fill in this service, and then once I fill in the repository, fill in the service, then I'll move over to the database and start connecting the database. I'm still thinking whether I should use object relational mapper or I should just go with SQL and stored procedure. I might just go for SQL and stored procedure so that you understand how I connect to the database and everything. If you understand that, working with object relational mapper becomes a lot easier. So I think that is what I will do. That is what I will do. So for this video, this is what I've done. In the next video, I will complete the front end and connect everything to the controller, make everything. Then we will now probably move over to the view where I will clean up all these things we have here and then build something from scratch. So, but I think that is our project shaping up properly. That's our project. This is what we have for now. Yeah. So in the next segment, I will continue and but I think that's what we have for now. Yeah. I think that is okay. So I think thank you very much for watching the video. Yeah.